All right, strap yourselves in for this one because we're diving headfirst into a true crime story.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
That's both fascinating and terrifying. You guys sent us a ton of stuff on this historical figure shrouded in mystery and dread.
Lots of twists and turns.
We're talking swindles, disappearances, and a house.
Yeah. A house, you say?
So sinister, they called it. The Murder Castle. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
What gets me about this case, even after all this time,
Yeah.
is how this guy managed to pull off his schemes for so long.
Especially back then.
Especially in the late 1800s, in a bustling city like Chicago.
It's not like you had the internet to hide behind.
It's not like there was social media or 24-hour news back then, so who is this mastermind? Well, he went by
Wait, let me guess.
H.H. Holmes,
See that name?
which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly scream serial killer, does it? But the man behind this alias, well,
He was something else.
he was a master of deception.
His real name was Herman W. Mudgett.
Oh, wow.
Right off the bat, you see this pattern of reinvention, a desire to shed his past and create a new persona.
Almost like he was trying to outrun something.
Exactly.
And that new persona, it was all about charm.
Oh, yeah. He had that in spades.
And manipulation.
Yeah.
But before we get into his crimes,
Okay.
let's talk about the infamous Murder Castle. From the outside,
It was unassuming, right?
it looked like any other building in 1890s Chicago. Kind of ordinary, even a bit ungainly. But on the inside,
Oh, that's where it gets creepy.
it was a labyrinth designed for deception.
And allegedly, much worse.
Imagine a maze of hidden rooms, trapdoors, secret passageways,
Don't forget the chutes.
and even chutes leading down to the basement.
It's like the architecture itself was designed to trap unsuspecting victims.
It's like something straight out of a gothic horror novel.
Totally.
And this bizarre design just fueled the rumors and public fascination with the place. There were even whispers
Whispers of what?
about a gas chamber.
Oh, man.
And remember,
This was a different time.
this was a time of rapid urbanization, where people were flocking to cities like Chicago for opportunity.
All those people, all those new faces.
This rapid growth often created anonymity,
Which, of course,
which someone like Holmes could easily exploit.
absolutely.
Now, to understand Holmes,
Okay.
we need to go back to his early life. He was a bright student, went to medical school,
Medical school, huh?
and even showed an early interest in Dodd cadavers.
Oh, that's a bit of a red flag, isn't it?
Looking back, it's almost like seeing the pieces of a dark puzzle coming together.
His medical background is particularly significant.
In what way?
It gave him an intimate knowledge of anatomy, access to bodies, and a certain comfort level with death
That's chilling.
that would later prove useful to his twisted ambitions.
And then came the fraud. He'd stage accidents,
Accident?
discover bodies, and collect insurance money.
Wow.
He was also a master of real estate scams,
Oh, so he was playing the long game?
racking up debts and weaving elaborate lies to con people out of their property.
What's striking is his ability to manipulate people. He had this undeniable charisma,
Like, people just trusted him instantly.
this way of gaining people's trust before ruthlessly exploiting it.
He could charm businessmen, women, anyone who crossed his path. And unfortunately,
This doesn't sound good.
for one young woman named Minnie Williams, she fell head over heels for his charm. Minnie had inherited some money, making her a prime target for Holmes.
Oh, no.
This is where the story takes a darker turn.
Oh.
A woman named Mrs. Connor and her daughter, who were living in the castle,
That just...
vanished without a trace.
Oh, wow.
Many believe they were Holmes's first victims, removed to make way for Minnie and her inheritance.
So that's how it starts.
And that's just the beginning. After Minnie moved into the castle, her sister, Anna, came to visit.
And?
And just like that, she disappeared. Gone.
No goodbye. Nothing.
No explanation. It's like she walked straight into one of those hidden rooms and never came out.
Minnie's role in all of this is so intriguing.
It really is.
Was she a willing accomplice? A manipulated pawn?
Or something in between.
The sources paint a complicated picture,
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure.
leaving us with more questions than answers.
Speaking of complicated,
Yeah.
let's go back to the murder castle itself. This place wasn't just weird, it was a house of horrors. We're talking soundproof
You
rooms,
soundproof before.
gas lines snaking through the walls, chutes leading down to the
I
basement.
don't even want to know what was down there.
And it gets worse. The basement was essentially a macabre workshop.
Oh, God.
There were reports of surgical equipment, acid vats, quicklime pits for dissolving bodies,
Dissolving bodies.
and even a crematory.
just wow.
Imagine the stench The sheer evidence of unspeakable acts.
It's hard to fathom.
It's just unthinkable.
Yeah.
And to make it even more disturbing,
There's more.
sources suggest that Holmes photographed his victims in theatrical poses.
Like he was proud of it or something?
Almost like he was creating a macabre gallery of his crimes. This wasn't just about murder. It was about power and control.
Leaving a chilling record of his dark deeds.
It sends chills down my spine just thinking about it. But here's the kicker.
What's that?
The thing that ultimately brought Holmes down wasn't even the murders.
Really? What was it then?
It was an insurance scam
So that.
involving the castle itself,
The irony, right. A man who thought he was untouchable,
brought down by greed.
undone by his own greed. It's almost Shakespearean.
Entered Detective Frank Geyer,
Ah, the good guy.
the persistent investigator who finally started unraveling Holmes's web of lies. He followed a trail of bodies and deceit across multiple states,
Determined to get him.
determined to bring this killer to justice.
Geyer's investigation was meticulous. He faced a tangled web of aliases, false leads, and missing persons.
But he never gave up.
But he relentlessly pieced together the puzzle, ultimately exposing the full extent of Holmes's depravity.
Then came the trial. Holmes, always the showman,
Always putting on a show.
tried to control the narrative, playing the victim,
No.
even bursting into tears on the stand.
But the evidence was piling up.
But the truth was starting to emerge, especially after the horrifying discovery
The horrifying discovery
of children's remains in Toronto and Indianapolis,
Oh, God.
confirming the worst fears about Holmes and the missing children connected to him.
That's when it all fell apart.
That's where things really started to unravel for him. The jig was up.
And the nation was captivated. I can't even imagine what those families must have gone through.
I know, it's just heartbreaking.
The discovery of those children's bodies, it was like a punch to the gut.
Absolutely, just devastating.
It solidified the case against Holmes.
There was no denying it anymore.
And confirmed the darkest suspicions surrounding him. It made it impossible for people to look away any longer.
It was no longer just whispers and rumors.
Right.
This was cold, hard evidence.
Yeah.
And the details that emerged during the trial,
Ugh, I bet they were awful.
they were absolutely horrifying.
Even when faced with all that evidence, Holmes
He's a master manipulator.
continued to manipulate and lie. He tried to shift blame, claimed insanity,
Anything to save himself.
and even feigned remorse.
It's unbelievable.
All in a desperate attempt to escape justice. But the jury saw through his act.
Thank goodness.
They did.
He was found guilty and sentenced to death.
Yeah.
But even with a conviction, there are still so many unanswered questions about Holmes and his motives.
Like, what drove him to do all of this?
What drove him to commit such horrific acts? Was it purely greed, or was there something more?
A deeper, darker reason.
A darker psychological need at play?
This case really makes you think about the nature of evil?
It does.
Was Holmes a cold, calculating psychopath driven by profit? Or was there a sadistic element to his crimes?
That's a scary thought.
A perverse enjoyment of the suffering he inflicted?
It's unsettling to think about, but some sources point to specific details
Oh, like what?
that suggest it wasn't just about the money. For example, why involve Marion Hedgepath in the insurance scheme, risking exposure?
That doesn't make sense.
And why murder Pitzel, a seemingly loyal accomplice who helped him carry out his plans?
It's almost like he enjoyed the chaos.
Those inconsistencies and contradictions are part of what makes Holmes so fascinating.
Right.
And so terrifying.
Right. It's baffling.
He was capable of incredible cruelty,
But at the same time,
yet he also displayed moments of apparent loyalty and sentimentality.
it's hard to wrap your head around.
It's a perplexing combination that defies easy categorization.
Like he was playing a game with everyone.
A deadly game.
And we're still trying to figure out the rules all these years later.
And to add to the mystery,
Oh no, there's more.
sources indicate that the true number of victims is still unknown. Some estimates suggest it could be much higher than initially thought,
You're kidding.
which is just mind-blowing.
The uncertainty surrounding the victim count is just chilling.
It's a reminder of how much we still don't know.
A chilling reminder of the scope of Holmes's crimes and his ability to conceal his actions. It's also a reflection of the limitations of forensic investigation at the time.
Back then, they didn't have the tools we have now.
It's quite possible we'll never know the true extent of his murderous spree.
And that's what keeps this story alive, right? It's a case that keeps unfolding, revealing new layers of darkness and complexity even after all these years.
I think it's our fascination with true crime.
Maybe.
Exactly. The story of H.H. Holmes and his murder castle taps into our fascination with true crime.
It's like we can't look away.
It's this desire to understand the motivations behind such horrific acts,
We want to make sense of it all.
to try and make sense of the senseless.
It's like staring into the abyss of human depravity
It's dark, but
and trying to comprehend how someone could be so utterly devoid of empathy and remorse.
there's another side to this story.
What's that?
It also serves as a cautionary tale.
A reminder that
A reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that evil can lurk beneath the most charming facade.
this whole deep dive has taken us on a whirlwind journey.
It really has.
We've explored the chilling architecture of the murder castle, delved into Holmes's twisted early life, unpacked his intricate scams,
And the victims.
and retraced the steps of his victims who vanished into thin air. It's a story that stays with you,
Definitely.
makes you think about the darkest corners of human nature.
But it also shows the good side of humanity, too.
Oh yeah, like what?
And it reminds us that even amidst the darkness, there's also a persistent pursuit of justice. Think of Detective Geyer tirelessly following leads.
You never give up.
And the courage of those who testified against Holmes, bringing his crimes to light.
They were so brave.
It gives you a sliver of hope amidst all the darkness.
Absolutely. This case reminds us that the pursuit of justice, no matter how long or arduous, is essential.
It's so important.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and our collective desire to hold evil accountable. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
It's time to hear from the listeners.
we want to turn it over to you, the listener. What resonates with you most about this story?
What stands out to you? Is it the intricate design of the murder castle? The chilling details of Holmes's crimes? Or the enduring mystery surrounding his true motives?
We want to hear your thoughts.
Let us know.
Share your insights with us on our website, social media, or wherever you connect with us.
And remember, the pursuit of knowledge, even when confronting dark subjects like this, is a powerful tool for understanding ourselves and the world we live in.
Before we sign off, we want to leave you with one final, thought-provoking question.
Okay, hit me.
What would H.H. Holmes make of our modern world, with its instant communication, digital footprints, and global surveillance? Could a figure like him thrive in today's society? Or would our technological advancements make it impossible for him to operate in the shadows?
That's a great question.
It makes you think about how technology has changed the landscape of both crime and investigation.
It's a whole new ballgame.
Could someone like Holmes adapt and thrive in a digital age? Or would his methods be obsolete?
We'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Absolutely. So until next time,
Until next time.
keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep those minds sharp.
And as always, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Yeah, it's crazy to think how technology would change things.
I mean, could you imagine Holmes trying to navigate social media?
It really does make you think about the cat and mouse game between criminals and investigators in our modern world. On one hand, we have all this technology
It's so much data.
that can track movements, analyze data, and expose lies.
Holmes wouldn't be able to just disappear so easily.
Right, Holmes wouldn't be able to simply vanish into a new city and reinvent himself so easily. His past would follow him, like a digital shadow.
In the form of digital records, social media posts.
Maybe even security camera footage.
But on the other hand,
There's always another side.
technology also creates new opportunities for deception.
Oh, absolutely.
We have deepfakes, identity theft, online scams.
It's a whole new world for those kinds of things.
There's a whole new frontier for manipulation.
And what about the dark web?
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
It's like a digital version of Holmes's murder castle.
A hidden world where anonymity is prized and criminal activity can flourish.
A labyrinthine space where secrets are buried.
And the lines between reality and deception are blurred.
Makes you wonder if he'd be running some online scam.
It's a chilling thought. So maybe the question isn't whether someone like Holmes could exist today,
Oh, how they would exist.
but rather what form would their evil take in our digital age?
Exactly. The methods might change, but the motivations,
Greed, power,
greed, power, control, those are timeless human flaws
sadly, yeah.
that can manifest in countless ways.
Which brings us back to the importance of awareness.
We can't be naive
We need to be vigilant, both online and offline,
about protecting ourselves.
about protecting ourselves from those who seek to exploit and manipulate.
Absolutely. We can't live in fear, but we can be informed,
Cautious.
cautious, and trust our instincts.
If something seems too good to be true,
It probably is.
If someone is pressuring you, rushing you into a decision,
Big red flag.
that's a red flag.
And if your gut is telling you something's off
Don't ignore it.
about a person or situation, don't ignore it. Intuition is often our best defense against deception.
It's also crucial to educate ourselves about the tactics that manipulators use.
Both in the real world and online.
The more we understand how these individuals operate,
The better prepared we are.
the better equipped we are to spot the warning signs and protect ourselves.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power, as they say. And in the case of H.H. Holmes,
It was knowledge that brought him down.
it was the pursuit of knowledge, the tireless investigation of Detective Geyer and others,
Those who refused to give up.
that ultimately brought his crimes to light and delivered justice.
It's inspiring to see that even in the face of such monstrous acts, there were those who fought for truth and accountability.
It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can persevere.
There will always be those who fight for truth, who seek to expose wrongdoing, and who stand up for the victims.
Well said. Well, folks, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the unsettling world of H.H. Holmes and his murder castle.
It's been a wild ride.
It's been a journey through the shadows of history, a tale of deception, cruelty, and the enduring power of the human spirit to seek justice.
This case really highlights how appearances can be deceiving.
And that the pursuit of truth and accountability is an ongoing battle.
But it's also a story about resilience
The courage of those who face down darkness.
and about the importance of never forgetting the victims and the lessons learned.
So as we conclude this deep dive,
Keep those minds sharp.
we encourage you to continue exploring, questioning, and seeking knowledge. The world is full of mysteries, both fascinating and disturbing, and it's up to each of us to shine a light on the shadows and learn from the past.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep those minds sharp and those eyes open.